Let's rewind the tape to April. AMD stock had been acting like a caffeinated squirrel, bounding steadily upward and giving investors that sweet adrenaline rush. From April through mid-August, it was like AMD had strapped a rocket to its back. Why? Optimism. Pure, uncut, Wall Street optimism. Earnings looked strong, the broader tech sector was flexing its muscles, and AI-driven excitement had investors throwing money at semiconductor stocks like confetti at a wedding. Think of AMD like the cool kid at school who suddenly shows up with new sneakers, a fresh haircut, and an invitation to the best party in town. Everyone wanted a piece of the action. The rally fueled by tech hype. The rally wasn't happening in isolation. Tech stocks across the board were basking in the glow of strong earnings and AI mania. Nvidia, Supermicro, and others were riding high, and AMD was right there in the slipstream. Investors were buzzing about how AMD was going to compete in the data center and AI markets. The momentum fades. But here's the thing about hype trains: they eventually run out of steam. By mid-August, AMD's stock momentum started to look less like a rocket and more like a roller coaster that had just crested its peak. The first warning sign? The stock dipped below the 20-day simple moving average, SMA, for the first time in months. That's like a jogger suddenly tripping on the sidewalk after weeks of flawless strides. Technical traders sat up straight in their chairs and said, "Oh, what's the big deal about the 20-day SMA?" For anyone new to technical analysis, the 20-day SMA is like the pulse check for a stock's short-term health. Staying above it suggests smooth sailing. Falling below it? That's the market whispering. Trouble might be brewing. In AMD's case, slipping under that line was like a kid letting go of the monkey bars a little too soon. You could sense a fall was coming. And fall it did, finding footing at the 50 SMA. For a hot minute, AMD looked like it might regain balance at the 50-day SMA. That's the medium-term support line, and in the world of charts, it's basically the stock market's equivalent of grabbing onto a safety railing after stumbling. But alas, AMD couldn't hold on. Like someone trying to stop a rolling shopping cart on a hill, the effort was valiant, but gravity had other plans. A sharp drop to $150.80. By the end of last week, AMD closed at $150.80. Let that sink in. That's a brutal 10% drop in just 1 week and less than a month after hitting its high. If you had bought shares at the peak, you probably felt like someone who ordered a fancy steak dinner only to have the waiter spill it on your lap. Painful, messy, and not what you signed up for. But before we start writing AMD's obituary, let's remember, semiconductors are a long-game play. Volatility is baked into the cake. By the way, if you are benefiting from the content so far and want more like this, like the video, it means much to me. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell, and comment the word more. Just go ahead and type the word more so I know. Now that you have commented, let's continue. Enter McKinsey, tariffs and chip supply chains. Now here's where things get really interesting. Just as AMD investors were nursing their bruises, McKinsey dropped a new report on tariffs and global semiconductor supply chains. Spoiler alert, it's not exactly bedtime reading unless you enjoy sweating about geopolitics. The gist? U.S. tariffs and trade restrictions are reshaping how chips are made, shipped, and priced. Since semiconductors are one of the most globalized industries on Earth, these changes send shockwaves through companies like AMD. Why tariffs hit semiconductors hard? Imagine you're making a jigsaw puzzle. But instead of one box, each piece is scattered across different countries. The picture doesn't come together until you've gathered them all. That's the semiconductor industry. Designs might start in California. Manufacturing could happen in Taiwan. Testing might be in Malaysia. Packaging? Maybe China. Now slap tariffs, restrictions, and political uncertainty on top of that global relay race, and suddenly the puzzle pieces don't fit so neatly. For AMD, which relies on Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company, TSMC, to build its chips, tariffs and supply chain reshuffling can translate into higher costs, slower deliveries, and competitive disadvantages. AMD in a globalized world. AMD doesn't make its own chips. Instead, it designs them and hands off production to foundries like TSMC. That's like being a rock band that writes the songs but hires another group to play the instruments. This fabless model has worked brilliantly, letting AMD stay lean and innovative. But it also ties the company's fortunes to global supply chains. If tariffs mess with those chains, AMD can't just wave a magic wand and fix things. Think of it like smartphones. You buy one for $1,000 today, and then suddenly a new tax gets slapped on certain imports. Next thing you know, that same phone costs $1,150. You're annoyed, maybe you hold off buying, or maybe you pick a cheaper brand. Now scale that frustration up to the billion-dollar world of semiconductors. If AMD's costs go up because of tariffs, margins shrink, and customers may hesitate, or worse, shift to competitors who can sidestep the tariffs. The bigger picture for investors. So, where does this leave AMD investors? On one hand, the 10% drop looks nasty, especially after such a promising rally. On the other, the fundamentals of the business, AI growth, gaming chips, data centers, are still strong. It's like your favorite sports team losing a couple of games in a row. Disappointing, yes, but it doesn't mean the season's over. The key question is, how much will tariffs and supply chain disruptions really bite? If they turn into major obstacles, AMD may have to rethink its strategy. If not, this dip could look like a buying opportunity in hindsight. What's next for AMD? Looking ahead, AMD's fate hinges on three big factors: AI and data center growth. If AMD can keep pushing into AI and data centers, revenue potential remains huge. Nvidia may be the big dog, but AMD has teeth too. Tariffs and supply chains, geopolitical uncertainty is the wild card. Any resolution, or escalation, will ripple straight into AMD's bottom line. Investor sentiment, technical charts matter. If AMD can reclaim support levels, confidence may return. If not, more selling pressure could follow. To sum it all up, AMD's recent stock moves have been a classic Wall Street drama. Hype, rally, technical breakdown, and now geopolitical jitters. Investors who bought at the top are probably pacing their living rooms, muttering things like, "Why didn't I sell in August?" But long-term holders know this is just another chapter in the AMD saga. Semiconductors are the backbone of everything from AI to gaming to cloud computing. And AMD isn't going anywhere. It may stumble, it may get whacked by tariffs, but the company remains a major player in one of the most critical industries of our time. If you're stressed about AMD's stock drop, just remember, at least it's not as bad as your graphics card fan noise when you're running Cyberpunk 2077 on ultra settings. Beyond the drop, AMD's bigger picture. AMD's AI ambitions. When people hear AI chips, the first name that comes to mind is NVIDIA. It's like how Kleenex is synonymous with tissues. But AMD is making a serious push into the AI space, and it's not content being second fiddle. Its MI300X accelerator, AMD's answer to NVIDIA's H100, has been generating buzz. Think of it as AMD showing up at the AI party not just with chips, but with chips and salsa. It's a statement. Hey, we can feed the AI boom too. Data centers are the golden goose here. Every tech company is scrambling to get their hands on GPUs and accelerators to train AI models. If AMD can carve out even a slice of that market, the revenue pie gets a lot tastier. Gaming, still the heartbeat. Of course, let's not forget AMD's gaming division. While investors drool over data center numbers, gaming is the nostalgic backbone. AMD powers not just PC gamers but also consoles like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. That's like being the drummer in a rock band. Maybe not as flashy as the lead singer, but without you, the whole show collapses. Gaming demand has cooled a bit post-pandemic. Turns out people eventually do go outside again. But with new titles dropping and next-gen gaming always looming, AMD has a reliable pipeline. Plus, with GPUs like the Radeon RX 7000 series, AMD keeps giving gamers an alternative to NVIDIA's. Sell a kidney for a GPU. Pricing strategy. AMD versus NVIDIA versus Intel. This is the heavyweight showdown. NVIDIA, the reigning champion of AI chips. They're selling GPUs faster than hotcakes at a county fair. Their valuation makes even tech bulls raise eyebrows. Intel, the once mighty giant trying to reinvent itself. Think of them like a retired boxer staging a comeback fight. Sometimes impressive, sometimes painful to watch. AMD, the scrappy challenger, quicker on its feet, winning market share in CPUs, and now trying to elbow into AI. Competition isn't just about who makes the best chip, it's about who can ship them, scale them, and keep customers happy. With tariffs and supply chain wrinkles, execution becomes just as important as innovation. Note this as well. Fear God, and give glory to Him, for the hour of His judgment is come, and worship Him that made heaven, and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead, or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. Revelation 14 verses 7-10. If we fully obey the Lord, the Creator of heaven and earth, and carefully follow all His commandments, He has promised to set us high above all the nations of the earth. Deuteronomy 28. We shall be blessed when we come in and when we go out. I appeal to you to accept God and let Him be your guide, for He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. Want more information? Please check the description section. That's the end for now. If you have watched until the end, drop a comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that I stayed until the end. When I see this comment, I will give you a heart. 3 more favors I request from you. First, like this video, subscribe, and then turn on the notifications bell. If you do this, you greatly encourage me to continue bringing to you insightful content. Do not miss out on our future videos full of insight. All I am asking is your subscription. Thanks for joining us today. Your support means so much to us. Do not hesitate to share this video to help someone who may benefit. I recommend that you watch the next video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about today's video. Wish you God's blessings and care. Faith and prayer will do what no power on earth can accomplish. See you in the next video by God's mercy.